Welcome back to Sportsbook Review Videos. The NBA season is over, but the off-season is kicking off with a bang. The draft is Thursday. Free agency starts in 10 days. And, of course, the sportsbooks are already starting to put out their 2017 future odds, and there are some interesting teams out there. And right now, the defending champions, not even the favorites, coming into next season, that honor goes to, of course, the Golden State Warriors at plus 250 at BetVictor right now. And the big reason for this, the reason they lost 3 games in a row and lost the NBA Finals, is that they're coming in with some extra cap space because the salary cap in the NBA is set to explode to about $94 million next season. And beyond that, teams will be able to spend upwards of $100 million on teams, and the Golden State Warriors, with guys like Maurice Spates, Harrison Barnes, Leandro Barbosa's contract coming up, as well as reasonable deals for other players like Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, of course. Golden State Warriors could, in fact, sign a max deal for a player heading into this offseason, maybe even a guy like Kevin Durant. So do not sleep on the Golden State Warriors. It's one of the reasons why they are the favorites over Cleveland. But right behind them is, of course, the current NBA champions, the Cleveland Cavaliers, coming in at 3-1. The biggest reason for, I think, like I said, the Golden State Warriors being so far ahead of them is because the Cavaliers are very much in a bad space financially for next season. If you assume that LeBron James is going to opt out and sign a max deal, which he likely will, stay in Cleveland, along with the contracts of Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, Channing Frye, and Iman Shumpert, that is 6 total guys if you're keeping count, is already up to $95 million. That's not even taking out of the fact that they will want to re-sign J.R. Smith. They will have a first-round draft pick as well that they'll need to pay, and they will likely have to round out their bench with another 4 or 5 guys on veteran minimum deals. Now, there are, of course, ways that defending NBA champions can lure free agents, but Cleveland has an interesting offseason ahead of them. They're likely going to be fielding similar to pretty much the same team, with the exception of whether or not they re-sign J.R. Smith, which I expect them to do. Heading into next season, it's going to be very hard for them to repeat with all these other teams stocking up on high-priced assets. Coming in right behind them at 6-1 is the San Antonio Spurs. They are kind of in a similar situation, but they really need to know if Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili are going to come back. If that happens, they need to round out their roster, maybe re-sign David West, hopefully re-sign Boban Marjanovic, and maybe they're ready set to go to compete in the Western Conference. Not too much to be done. Already have guys like, of course, Marcus Aldridge coming in on the last year of his deal. Kawhi Leonard is locked up for several more years to come. Tony Parker and those guys alike all locked up as well. So I think really all it comes down to is whether or not Duncan and Ginobili are going to come back. And if they don't, what are the Spurs going to do with that money? They could sign some really good players as well. So keep in tune for what the San Antonio Spurs do, but it really depends on those veterans, whether or not they're going to come back and opt into their player deals. Next up is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Of course, it is the summer of Kevin Durant for them. They are at 7-1 to win the NBA championship. Durant has a very good situation in Oklahoma City. I think he's going to re-sign there, but because if he does, they have a lot of really cheap young talent. Andre Roberson, Steven Adams, Cameron Payne, all on still on their rookie deals. You look at guys, reasonable contracts of Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, guys like that. They might not need to tend an offer to a guy like Dion Waiters, maybe spend that money elsewhere. They got Enes Kanter locked up long term. This is a very good team, and if Durant is the last piece of the puzzle that comes in, they could very easily compete for a title. They were up 3-1 on the Golden State Warriors, of course, before losing to them in 3 straight games. They have the formula. They just need Durant to re-sign. We will not know that, of course, until after July 1st. Now, finally, one of the most interesting teams, I think, this offseason is the Los Angeles Clippers, who come in at 5th highest odds at 10-1 to win the NBA championship from BetVictor. You want to hear a totally crazy scenario? Kevin Durant signs with the Los Angeles Clippers. It could very well happen. Now, they wouldn't have much of a bench, but their starting 5 would be basically unbeatable with Chris Paul, J.J. Redick, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. That's a scary amount of offense. Do they need that much firepower? Probably not, but they could also make a trade, maybe a guy like Blake Griffin, trade him to the Boston Celtics. If they swing and miss on big-name free agents this offseason, there are a lot of things that could happen with the Los Angeles Clippers. They would, I think, be wise to shake up their roster in some way, and I think a way to do that would be potentially to lure Durant in and maybe trade away Blake Griffin and have a big 3 of DeAndre Jordan, Durant, and Chris Paul. It could be a deadly combination in the Western Conference, and they would also have the money if they did, in fact, trade Blake Griffin to go out and sign a few more guys and bring back maybe some talented but reasonably priced players as well from the Boston Celtics in a potential trade like that. So don't sleep on the Los Angeles Clippers, but don't bet on them either. They have a lot of things that could change within that roster between now and July 1st. So that'll do it for your NBA future odds updates for 2016-2017. Of course, stay tuned for all of our offseason NBA coverage, NFL coverage, as well as some of my NBA or MLB props coming up, later tomorrow. But until then, for Sportsbook Review, I'm Jordan Sharp.
Always on the go? Bet365 has one of the top mobile platforms in today's market. Sign up today and don't let your busy life keep you out of the game.